call the member for Monash.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Well, it's great to hear these. I commend the member for bringing this motion forward. However, I've been around long enough to have heard a lot of these discussions before. I take you back to the Rudd-Gillard government. And in the run-up to that election, the Prime Minister that became the Prime Minister said, we're going to drive down your grocery prices and your fuel prices. We're going to have an inquiry, and then we're going to have GroceryWatch and we're going to have FuelWatch. The minister charged with that responsibility during that government was Minister Chris Bowen, who's now the Energy Minister. The minister that then took over from Chris Bowen was a minister named Craig Emerson, who saw the farce of GroceryWatch and FuelWatch and knew that it wasn't working at all, and he just dropped it, wiped it away. So it is rather interesting to consider that same. I've got the greatest respect for the minister and Craig Emerson in his capacity and the appointment. Certainly has the ability to come up with a very good inquiry. But I know also, I think deep in his heart of hearts, he'll know won't be able to make any difference whatsoever, as my mother used to say, to the price of paint. You won't make any difference to the price of groceries. What we have is a market in Australia dominated by two main players. And no government, not this government, not the previous government, well, the three governments we had under three different prime ministers while we were here, and then before that we had two governments under two different prime ministers on the Labor side. Did any of them make any difference to grocery prices? No, they just keep going up and up and up and up and up. And the size of the product, as the shoppers will know that are watching this debate, gets smaller and smaller and smaller. My wife happens to like a certain brand of marmalade, and the jar used to be about that big. Then it went to that big, and it's dearer, and now it's down to that big, and it's dearer again. So we're losing both ends. We're not only being the price is increasing, but the size of the product and the volume is decreasing. I put to you that after all the fine speeches here today around reducing prices at the supermarket, with investment by government to do that, so we will direct, I put to you that not one thing will change in regard to the structure of the grocery industry in Australia. The only thing that will change is when the buyer, the shopper, decides to be very clear and concise about their shopping, and rather than taking the convenient Woolies store or the Coles store, go to Dandenong Market. Go to Aldi for this, and perhaps Woolworths for that, and perhaps Coles for that, and IGA for something else. Me, I'm a shocker. I like to go to IGA because they're not owned by the big guys. They're not owned by the internationals. They're just us. And there's good local people working down there. I love going to IGA. Look, for me, if there were value, this to me just reeks of a government saying the cost of living is high, look at me, look at me, look at us, we're doing something about it. No, they're not. Don't be hoodwinked. This is just all froth and bubble, and will continue to be. And in 2 years' time, when this report finally comes through from Craig Emerson, and all the recommendations there about what they might do, which is the same report that the Rudd government worked on before, I think Mr Emerson could walk in to the room, write the report and walk out, just change the date. Because it won't make any difference until you completely deregulate. spoke with I'll leave you with this. I spoke with an independent grocer the other day, and he said, there's the real price of the product, and here's the majors price of the product.
Order.